What up? It's your girl DJ Reese, and I have an amazing, talented woman on the line. She's a life coach and, in my opinion, the voice of reason. My girl, TorahCents, what's up?
What's up, girl? Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. I'm glad. Likewise. So we're going to jump right into the interview. So tell our listeners how you got the name TorahCents.
Okay, so TorahCents is pretty much a play on words. As a believer, the Bible, the first 5 books of the Bible are what we, call the Torah in Hebrew. And it also means instructions, specifically instructions in Hebrew. And the sense is kind of like, okay, here is what I've learned from the Torah. Here's what I've learned from the instructions in the Bible, and here's my 2 cents on it. And when you think about it, it all makes sense. And that's pretty much where I got my name from.
Okay, that's dope. Now, where are you from and where are you residing now?
I am from the South. Because we've been somewhat everywhere, we've lived somewhat everywhere, but I do claim South Carolina as being where I'm from. That's where I hit puberty. That's where I met childhood friends. That's where I spent a lot of my, finding myself and learning who I was and learning what I liked and disliked in life as I became an adult. So I would say South Carolina is where I'm from.
All right.
And
what city in South Carolina?
Lake City. It's like 4,000 of population, and maybe an hour and a half away from Columbia. If anybody knows where Columbia is,
I do. Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm residing currently in St. Louis, Missouri. Been here about 4.5 years.
Okay, how do you like it out there?
St. Louis, Missouri is, I would say there's pros and cons. Of course, there's heavy racial tensions here, as you all seen with the Mike Brown situation. That was just one piece of a huge mess of racial tension. But it's also like more of a small town feel in a big metropolitan. Where I currently live, and there's a lot of pride in the city. There's a lot of pride of the food, the sports, just the type of things that they have out here. A lot of free things that the kids can engage in, the family can engage in. So, I mean, there are pros and cons there. I'm not a big fan of the weather. It's a little bit too cold for me, but hey.
Okay. Would you think about relocating again?
Oh, yeah, we're relocating next year. We're moving to Dallas, Texas.
Oh, nice. Dallas, I've been out there. That is a cool place.
Really?
Yeah.
You like it?
Yes, it's bigger. Everything's big. Have you been to the airport in Dallas? Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's nice, but it is super hot. Every time I've gone there, it's been pretty hot. I've never been there in the wintertime. But every other time it's like, whoa. And it's like that dry heat too, so.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll do just fine out there. I mean, it doesn't get as cold out there as it does where you live at, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's a good thing, though.
Yeah, very true. Because, I just like you, I don't like snow either, so. As a child into your teen years, have you always been the voice of reason, or did your family and friends always come to you for advice?
For the most part, as far as being considered the voice of reason, I would say I was the most outspoken. I thought that I was the voice of reason, but I'm not sure my family did at the time. At the time, I felt like they thought that I was always running my mouth or always the one in contrary what people were doing, always the one bringing up loopholes or finding fault in certain situations. And really, I was just looking to protect people, and I felt like, hey, this is dangerous, or hey, this is stupid, or hey, we probably shouldn't do this. And I don't think that my family really considered my voice until I became an adult. And they saw what was going on in my life, and they were like, you know what, we probably should listen to her at this point. But I don't think when I was younger, because everybody just disregarded it. So, yeah.
Right. It's probably just because they see you as a child. You know how parents are.
Yeah.
Were you raised up in a Christian home with, Christian values, or did you come to Christ later on in life?
I can't say that I was raised up in a Christian home because we didn't identify with the label Christianity. But what I do know is that I was brought up in a home where we followed Christ. Okay. And particularly we went to church often, and we did the things that regular church people do. And if you saw us, you would probably say, oh, they're Christians, except for some maybe beliefs that didn't line up with mainstream Christianity. But, and then my dad, he would have us, read the Bible like every single day. Even if like you were a friend coming to visit, you couldn't come play and stay long if you didn't read the Bible.
Wow. Wow.
And, yeah, he had encyclopedias, Bible encyclopedias. We had all types of biblical references, concordances. We didn't read the Bible. Like, we literally had to study it. And that's where, I have a great understanding of Torah, of the Old Testament, because that's 70% of the Bible. And so we spent a lot of time studying the Old Testament and the stories and what they could have meant in Greek and Hebrew. And when I was about 14 years old, my parents split, and my mom, she kind of like distanced herself away from the church and pulled me and my sisters out. And so, I started living life crazy. And ridiculous and in rebellion and running away from home and just acting out. And it wasn't until I was 19 when I was brought back into the church that I was put out of. But unfortunately, that didn't work out because that was like a low-key becoming a cult. And there was a lot of church hurt that came. I had to leave. I felt like people were horrible, especially church people. And then I met this group on YouTube. I visited them, and even though I pushed them away at first, over time they showed themselves to be the real deal. And ever since then, I saw myself being gravitating towards people who are the real deal. And that's when I decided to, rededicate and say, this is what I want, and I believe,
Wow. Okay. How did you get your start on using social media via Facebook as a way of giving out advice?
Well, I started off, I had a channel called Hear Me Out. And I'm like, and I started the channel because I had started growing in my faith, and I started making better decisions. I was a teen mom. And I had overcome various obstacles from being a teen mom to, graduating, number 4 in my class, going to college. I got 3 bachelor's degrees within 4 years. And then I went off, got my master's, got my CPA license, I got my MBA. I started building great relationships with other people. My character started improving. And I was just making good decisions for my life. And I'm like, you know what? I want to help other people do this. I want to help other women do this. So let me make a channel, make a YouTube channel. And I made it called Hear Me Out. And it was so boring. It was such a boring, just listening to me talk, you would really just have to really like me and know me in person to even want to listen to me. And I wasn't very comfortable with the camera. And I eventually was like, you know what? People, like my close friends and family aren't even watching this. Let me pull away from here and regroup. And I studied YouTube for about 6 months, studied the popular people, studied the people in my niche who I wanted to reach. What do people like about them? How did they look? How did they interact with their audiences? And then I revamped.
Okay.
Put out a new YouTube channel, and this time I inserted my personality and my humor into what I was doing, and I shared it on Facebook, and it just took off because I started off with church videos and talking about how the wild traditional things that go on in the church that a lot of people don't like to talk about, and it just resonated with so many people, especially people who have experienced church hurt and left the institutionalized church because of it.
Okay. All right. Now, were you a personal coach before you became viral on Facebook, or a life coach before you became viral on Facebook?
No, not at all. Basically what happened, a few of my videos were going viral. I was getting a lot of attention, and I was getting interviews. And so one of the guys that interviewed me, he was like, you could actually create a class on this stuff and also make money at the same time. And I was like, no, I can't. Like, why would I do that? And he was like, well, because it helps you scale and also allows you to be rewarded for all the work that you're putting in. And also you can provide more value if you're charging, people who really want to invest in themselves. And I'm like, I don't think that I should be doing it. I don't want to be seen like a pimp preacher or anything. I just want to teach people. And then over time, like, people kept watering that seed that was planted and was like, you should think about doing it. And then I subscribed to a young lady's email address. And I subscribed because she was a Black woman who seemed to be successful. And that's why I did it. And she taught people how to create classes in her email.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I know, right? It was so crazy. And then on top of that, she was like, okay, I have a mini class. It's $29 to teach you how to create your first class. But if you answer this survey, I'll give it to you for free. And I did it. She said the first 3 people, and I was the first person. I got on it. I got the class for free. And then I'm like, I love the class. And then she had like an upsell. I invested in the upsell for $97. Then I invested in $1,000, and I invested in $6,000, and then it just kept.
Oh my God!
I was getting so much value out of what she was teaching, and she was like, "Yeah, you could definitely do this," and that's pretty much how I started. Her name is Maya Gaddy, and she pretty much helped me through this process and navigating it and doing it ethically, and knowing what I'm worth as I'm doing this.
Right. Okay. What motivates you to keep doing this?
Transformation. People, when I see someone hear something I say or take some notes or watch something that I've taught and then come back and was like, this happened to me, or you changed my life, or this piece of information just revolutionized my thought, that keeps me going. When I see transformation in people's lives being changed, and I'm like, that feeling. I just don't feel like there's a better feeling than being able to affect someone to the point where they're living better because of something you said.
I feel you on that. It's a lot better than money. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
So you give a lot of relationship advice. What makes a successful relationship? Like, what's the recipe for one?
I think for one, a person has to be, I feel like, understand themselves, understand who they are. You don't have to be, people say, you have to be completely healed and you got to go on this thing, unbroken. I feel like, for example, because I still have things that I'm healing from. I'm not completely healed from the trauma of my life, but I feel like if a person understands who they are and they embrace growth, personal growth is huge when it comes to relationships. Because a lot of times we're like, oh, well, they need to do this, they need to do that. when really if each of us focus on ourselves and how we can get better, that relationship works. We don't have to point the finger at each other. We point it at ourselves. So I think personal growth is like the best thing that we should invest in. And then when we come into relationships, we should come from a place of I value who you are, and not necessarily I'm not attached to what you can give me, even though that's important. Because then we operate from a place of wholeness, and instead of a place of my cup is empty and I need you to fill it type of thing.
Right.
And then of course the communication, that's a given, but then what entails communication? Because I come from the South, we got people from the North, we got people from other countries. We were raised in different regions, different cultures. Therefore, we see the world differently. We have different perspectives. Now, when we come together, how are we going to empathize with that? How are we going to have some understanding in terms of the way I see things might not be the way you see things, and your reality might be different because of perspective. And then that also is a big part of communicating and sharing what your wants and your needs, and not just talking. What are your wants? What are your needs? What are your feelings? And are you communicating them? Are you teaching people how to love you?
Very true. What upcoming events or projects are you currently working on?
Well, the main things that I'm working on right now is my Date with Sense program, which is a program to help single women of faith have a fun, fruitful, fearless, forward-moving dating experience towards marriage. That is my big focus. It's a membership program once a month. Once a month they have classes. I give conversational scripts to help with tricky conversations to have with men or the important people in their life, as well as dating hacks, which are tools to help them navigate effectively and efficiently through dating. So yeah, that's pretty much what my projects are, my events. I am hoping to have live events that have something to do with Date with Sense, but nothing solid as of now. I'm just thinking about it.
Okay, man, that's a lot right there.
Yeah.
Before you go, can you share your social media information with our listeners?
Sure, I am TorahCents everywhere. TorahCents on all social media networks. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. And if you would like to read some of my musings, you can go to TorahCents.com. Torah, TorahS, the number 2, Cents, CENTS.com.
And her YouTube isn't boring anymore, so y'all go check that out.
No, definitely not.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. I truly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
You are welcome. It's your girl, DJ Reese, and I'm out.
Digital Dope Radio.